All right, let's get one thing clear right out of the gate. When Colin Cowherd says you were wronged, it's not just sports talk. It's not noise. It's a highlighter across your name in the football ledger of injustice. And today, that name is Shaduer Sanders. Now, you may have had your doubts. 5th-round pick. Rookie. Plenty of media baggage thanks to the last name Sanders. You thought maybe he'd ride the bench for a year, hold a clipboard, get a few reps here and there. But then training camp started. If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed. Then the preseason happened. Then the truth came out. And you saw it. You felt it. That kid, that calm in the pocket, that command of the offense, that's not someone testing the waters. That's someone ready to own the ocean. Colin saw it too. So when he sat down and said flat out that Shaduer Sanders was wronged by the Cleveland Browns, he meant every syllable. And let's be real, he's not wrong. Let's walk through this, because it gets worse the deeper you go. Shedeur came into Cleveland with every excuse lined up for why he'd fail. Too flashy, too famous, too connected to his dad. 5th-rounder, not NFL ready. All those tired cliches, just waiting to be stapled to his chest. And what did he do? He shattered all of it. Showed up early, stayed late, studied harder than the guy who's been through 3 offensive coordinators, made throws in the preseason that turned heads in the locker room, made reads faster than expected, never looked rattled, not once. By all accounts, Shedeur did everything you're supposed to do when you're trying to prove yourself. And what did the Browns do with that? They looked him dead in the eyes and handed the job to Joe Flacco. That's when Colin's voice hit a different tone. Not just critical, not even disappointed, just stunned. Like, how is this still happening? And it's not just Flacco's age or the fact that he's bounced around more than a backup generator in hurricane season. It's that everyone knows he's a placeholder. He's not the future. He's not even the present. He's a warm body who won't fumble the snap and will throw it 5 yards on 3rd and 8. Safe? Maybe. Inspired? Absolutely not. And Shedeur? He doesn't just want the pressure. He needs it. He thrives in it. Pressure is where he lives. But that's what freaks Cleveland out, right? That confidence, that media spotlight, that unbothered attitude, the fact that Shedeur walks into a facility and looks like he belongs there, even if he was drafted way later than he should have been. Colin laid it bare. This isn't about talent. This is about control, image, NFL politics. It's about coaches and executives who can't handle the idea that a rookie, especially one with a famous last name, might already be better than the guys they spent years defending. Shedeur didn't just compete. He outshined. And instead of being rewarded for that, he's being tucked away behind 2 guys who won't be on a roster in 2 years. Let that sink in. And meanwhile, fans? Oh, they're not stupid. They're already whispering, already tweeting, already chanting. It's subtle now. But once Flacco throws that first brutal pick 6 or the offense butters to 13 points in week 2, those whispers, they're going to roar. We want Shedeur. It's not a matter of if. It's when. And when that moment comes, the Browns will have a decision to make. Not just about the quarterback position, but about what kind of franchise they actually want to be. Are they the team that protects its fragile ego at the cost of its future? Or are they the team that says, you know what? We got it wrong. Let's fix it before it's too late. Because the truth is, this isn't just about Shedeur. It's about a pattern. About young quarterbacks, especially black quarterbacks, having to be perfect just to get a shot that others are handed on a silver platter. You know it. Colin knows it. The whole damn league knows it. And Shedeur? He's not complaining. Not throwing tantrums. Not airing grievances on social media. He's staying focused. Head down. Still practicing like he's starting on Sunday. That's what makes this whole thing even harder to watch. Because you know what's coming. At some point, the Browns will be forced to pivot. The offense will sputter, Flacco will look 39, and the media will start hammering the question they've already been holding back. Why isn't Shaduer Sanders playing? And the Browns' answer, whatever it is, will be too late. Because Shedeur's confidence is bulletproof. But patience? Patience has an expiration date. And if they're not careful, the Browns are going to lose more than a quarterback. They're going to lose the locker room, the fan base, the trust of anyone who actually knows football. Colin warned them. He said it with that signature smirk, the one that knows he's telling you something that will hit headlines a month from now. You can either give Shedeur the ball now, or wait until he's doing it somewhere else. And that's the truth that stings. Because if Cleveland doesn't wise up, they're going to look back on this moment like they look back on passing over Josh Allen, or whiffing on Deshaun's entire era, or burning through a carousel of quarterbacks like lottery tickets. Only this time, it'll be worse. Because they had the guy, he was right there, and they still chose someone else. So what's next? Do the Browns hold firm, pretend like this is part of the plan, and run Flacco out there until the wheels fall off? Do they wait for fan pressure to boil over? Or do they do the bold thing, the thing great franchises do, and give the reins to the kid who's already acting like the starter? Because Shedeur doesn't need more time. He needs the ball, and if Cleveland won't give it to him, there's a dozen teams that will. Because here's the thing the Browns still don't seem to grasp. You can only bottle up greatness for so long before it explodes. And Shaduer Sanders? He's not just simmering. He's a pressure cooker, and the lid is rattling. Fans feel it. Media's circling it. Colin Cowherd called it. And deep down, even the Browns' coaching staff probably knows it. They've seen it in practice. They've seen the way veterans gravitate toward him. They've seen how receivers run sharper routes when he's under center. How the offense just clicks. It's not a fluke. It's not hype. It's real. And yet, here we are, watching him rot on the bench behind a guy who's closer to coaching retirement than he is to a playoff run. Why? Because Cleveland has fallen into the classic NFL trap. They're trying to control the narrative instead of letting the talent tell the story. You've seen it before. A franchise finally gets a gifted young QB with charisma, arm talent, and upside, and what do? They slow play it, bury him in the depth chart, feed the media lines like, we're being cautious, or he's still learning the playbook, or we want to protect him. Please, protect him from what exactly? From opportunity? From the chance to win? You don't protect a racehorse by keeping it in the barn. You let it run, and the longer they stall, the more it becomes clear. This isn't about Shedeur's readiness. It's about their fear. Fear of being wrong. Fear of change. Fear of giving the spotlight to someone they didn't draft in the first round. And that's where the real problem lives. Because Shedeur didn't come into the league on their terms. He didn't follow the approved script. He didn't spend 3 years riding the bench behind some placeholder vet. He came in polished. Ready? He made them uncomfortable by being more prepared than their development plan accounted for. That's the threat. And if you're wondering why Colin Cowherd's words hit so hard, it's because they exposed a whole illusion. He said what every smart football mind was already thinking. Shedeur isn't the problem. He's the solution the Browns are too scared to use. And if they don't fix that mindset, they're not just going to lose games. They're going to lose Shedeur. Not today, not tomorrow, but it's coming. Because players like him, they don't sit quietly forever. They know what they bring to the table. And if you don't serve the plate, someone else will. Think about it. How many franchises have ruined careers not by playing a guy too early, but by waiting too long? Ask Jordan Love how that felt. Ask Justin Fields. Ask any quarterback who's been forced to earn the job 10 times over while others were handed it on day one. And here's the twist no one wants to say out loud. If Shedeur had a different last name, if he wasn't Deion Sanders' son, he might already be starting. Because there's a narrative bias in the NFL that cuts both ways. If you're a legacy kid with flash, swagger, and confidence, they call it entitlement. They doubt your work ethic. They whisper about distractions. But if you're a no-name underdog project with grit and coachability, suddenly every short throw is a sign of maturity, and every check down is smart football. It's double standards disguised as scouting. And Colin, to his credit, called it out. He didn't sugarcoat it. He didn't dance around it. He said point blank, the Browns are ignoring what's right in front of them because they didn't expect him to be this good this fast. Let's say it again, louder for the people in the back. They weren't prepared for Shaduer Sanders to be great, and now they don't know what to do, but they better figure out quick, because there's a storm coming. Imagine this. Week 5, the Browns are 1-4. Flacco has thrown 5 touchdowns and 7 picks. The defense is gassed. The offense is stale. Fans are booing. Reporters are asking that question every single post-game presser. Why isn't Shedeur playing? And when that happens, and it will happen, you think Shedeur is going to sit there, nodding politely, waiting for crumbs. No, he's going to look at that chaos and think, I told you. And so will Jason Kelsey, and Colin Cowherd, and every single analyst who's had the guts to call this mess out before it explodes. And trust me, other teams are watching. The moment Shedeur even sniffs the trade market, phones will light up like it's a draft all over again. Because franchises that know what they're doing, they understand the value of a quarterback who's got the talent and the temperament. And that's what Shedeur brings. This kid could lead a locker room full of grown men, and they'd follow him, not because he's flashy, but because he's focused, because he's put in the work, because every time he steps on that field, he carries himself like someone who belongs. But apparently, that's not enough for Cleveland. They want more seasoning, more patience. Cool, let them be patient. The rest of us will be watching Shedeur torch them in another jersey. And when that happens, when the kid finally gets a starting role he's earned, it's not going to be some underdog story. It's going to be a correction. A reminder that greatness isn't always drafted in the first round. Sometimes it slips through the cracks because people are too busy managing optics instead of building winners. So yeah, Colin Cowherd said Shedeur was wronged. But let's take it one step further. If the Browns don't fix this, and soon, they won't just be wrong. They'll be irrelevant. And Shaduer Sanders? He'll be the one reminding them of it every time he laces up. So now here you are, sitting on your couch, watching Week 1 unfold. And as Joe Flacco jogs out onto the field wearing the brown and orange, you can't help but feel like you're watching a rerun from 2015. Only the jerseys have changed. Snap 1, short pass. Snap 2, handoff. Snap 3, sack. And just like that, the Boo Birds start warming up their vocal cords. Not because they hate Flacco. Honestly, he's done nothing wrong. He's just a guy who happened to be standing in front of the lightning bolt. But when that bolt's name is Shaduer Sanders, and he's standing on the sidelines holding a clipboard, oh yeah, people are going to talk. Because it's one thing to bench a rookie. It's another to bench a better quarterback in favor of someone you know deep down can't take you where you need to go. That's not strategy. That's fear management. That's franchise malpractice with a headset. And at that point, it stops being about football. It starts being about ego. That's what Colin Cowherd was getting at when he said Shedeur was wronged. Not just by being passed over, but by the entire system treating him like a PR risk instead of a franchise cornerstone. And look, Colin's no stranger to bold takes. But this wasn't hot air. This was a fire alarm. Because the Browns are stuck playing politics in a league that moves at warp speed. While other teams are pushing their rookies into the spotlight, Cleveland is tiptoeing around theirs like they found a rare bottle of wine they're saving for later. Newsflash, the moment is now. You don't get extra wins for playing it safe. You don't unlock bonus playoff slots for patience. You win by putting the best guy on the field. And right now, that guy isn't wearing number 15 for nostalgia. He's wearing number 5, and he's watching a bad rerun of a show he should be starring in. And as the season wears on, you'll see it build. Every 3 and out, more chants. Every missed deep throw, more murmurs. Every press conference dodging the Shedeur question, more eye rolls. Until eventually, it reaches critical mass. And when that day comes, it won't just be the media banging on the table. It'll be the locker room. Because players know. They see the talent. They know who's balling in practice. They know who commands a room and who's just filling space. And trust me, if the Browns keep pretending they don't know it too, that team chemistry, it'll crack. Shedeur doesn't need to say a word. His game will do the talking. And that's the problem, isn't it? Because when a player like Shedeur starts showing he's better than planned, when the fans know it, the analysts know it, and the team still ignores it, you stop looking like a football franchise and start looking like a corporate machine trying to delay the inevitable. And speaking of corporate machines, let's talk about the Deion factor. Because, it's there. You don't think the Browns front office feels that shadow looming over their decisions? Of course they do. It's not just Deion's son. It's primetime son. That's history. That's swagger. That's press. That's pressure. And a lot of old school execs, they hate that. They hate when you come in with your own light because it means they don't get to flip the switch. But Shedeur didn't ask for the spotlight. He just showed up and earned it. And now that it's shining, they're acting like it's too bright. So instead of leaning into it, riding the momentum, building the brand, letting the kid run, they're hiding him like a secret. Like a trump card in the game they don't even know how to play. Meanwhile, in cities like Atlanta, Vegas, or Tampa, you better believe GMs are salivating, watching, waiting, whispering to agents. If he's not playing by week 6, we're making the call. Because teams that want to win don't play these games. They put talent on the field and deal with the noise after the touchdowns. And Shedeur, he's already built for that. He's media trained. He's pressure tested. He's calm under chaos. The last name might get the clicks, but the tape doesn't lie. And that's what guys like Colin are seeing. The arm strength, the mechanics, the leadership, the poise. Shadeur's the kind of guy who makes mistakes, owns them, and fixes them fast. He's not a drama magnet. He's a solution. And solutions don't belong buried on a depth chart. So what happens next? Maybe Flacco goes down. Maybe the Browns stumble into a quarterback switch out of desperation, not vision. Maybe Shedeur gets a shot in week 7 and lights it up. Too late to save the season, but just early enough to remind everyone what they wasted. Or maybe the kid gets fed up. Maybe his agent starts quietly requesting options. Maybe the buzz turns into whispers, the whispers into reports, and the reports into trade talks. And if that happens, Cleveland's going to look up and realize they just handed their future to someone else for free. Because the moment Shaduer Sanders becomes available, it's over. He'll go to a city that wants him. A franchise that understands what they have. A coach that believes in now, not one day. And when that happens, it won't be personal. It'll just be payback. And all the Browns will have left is their safe little plan. And a stadium full of fans wondering what could have been. So yeah, Colin was right. Shaduer Sanders was wronged. But he won't be for long. Because you can't keep a star off the field forever. Eventually, someone's going to let him shine. And when they do, it's going to make Cleveland's caution look like the biggest fumble since the drive. So now we're heading into mid-season. Week 6, the leaves are changing, the temperature's cooling, and the tension in Cleveland, boiling. The Browns are 2-4. The defense is gassed from spending most of the game on the field. The offense looks like it's being run out of a 1998 playbook. And the quarterback situation? It's a mess. Joe Flacco is still under center, still checking it down, still getting praise for being veteran steady, even as the scoreboard reads 16-9 with another L in the column. And then, like clockwork, the post-game presser starts sounding like reruns. Why isn't Shedeur getting a shot? Coach Kevin Stefanski leans into the mic, wearing that corporate calm poker face. You know the one. He delivers some vanilla coach speak about trusting the process, continuing to evaluate, and letting guys develop. Translation? They still don't have the guts to make the move. Meanwhile, Shaduer Sanders is standing on the sideline with his helmet in his hand, watching all this unfold. He's doing everything right, saying everything right, and still being treated like he needs permission to succeed. And that's when things shift, because the fans, they're done waiting. You hear in the chants that ripple through the crowd like a cold wind off Lake Erie. Shedeur, Shedeur, Shedeur. You see it on Twitter, where highlight reels of his preseason throws are being reposted with angry captions like, "Why is this guy sitting?" And then, right on cue, Colin Cowherd goes off again. He's got his sleeves rolled up, that half smirk on his face, and you already know he's about to torch someone. This isn't about readiness, he says. This is about ego. The Browns are protecting their decision-making tree, not their quarterback room. And you nod because he's right. Cleveland is out here acting like they're a perennial playoff powerhouse who can afford to ease into the future. Meanwhile, their offense is crumbling and their future is literally holding a clipboard. You don't need a crystal ball to see what's coming. Eventually, someone gets desperate. Maybe Flacco takes a hit. Maybe it's garbage time and the game's out of reach. Maybe, just maybe, the crowd finally chants loud enough to force the coaching staff's hand. But whatever the reason, it happens. Shaduer Sanders enters the game. And let me tell you something. It is electric. The moment he steps onto the field, it's like someone hits the reset button on Cleveland's entire identity. There's a different tempo. The energy spikes. Even the linemen are standing a little taller in their stances. First snap, 12-yard dart over the middle. Second snap, play-action rollout hits the tight end in stride. Third play, read option. Shedeur keeps it, picks up 18. The crowd is losing it. Suddenly, the Browns don't look sluggish. They look dangerous. For the first time all season, they're not playing to avoid mistakes. They're playing to win. And Shedeur, he's as cool as ever. Calm in the pocket. Audible at the line. Eyes scanning, never rushed, never rattled. Every play feels like a statement. I'm here. I was always here. And when he throws that first touchdown, a back shoulder beauty in the corner of the end zone, he doesn't do a big celebration. No chest pounding. No finger pointing. He just jogs back to the sideline like it's another day in the office. Because for Shaduer Sanders, it is, and that's the moment Colin Cowherd has been talking about since day one. That's the proof, the tape, the eye test, the vibe, that Shedeur should have been a guy from the start. But here's the poetic twist. As the media rushes to praise him, as the talking heads apologize for sleeping on him, as Brown's Twitter switches its profile picture to number 5, you already know what Shadeur's thinking. Too late to pretend you believed in him. Too late to sell this as part of the plan. Too late to frame this as anything other than what it really is. A correction. And that's what this whole saga boils down to. Not a breakout. Not a Cinderella story. A correction. Because this league, it tries so hard to predict greatness. Draft boards, mock scouts, personality metrics. But sometimes greatness doesn't show up with a perfect resume or a glowing reference from the scouting combine. Sometimes greatness shows up with a chip on its shoulder and a famous last name, and instead of being embraced, it gets benched, but not for long, because talent like this doesn't sit still. Shaduer Sanders is here now, and what Colin Cowherd and everyone with a brain has been screaming for weeks is finally unfolding in front of you. The Browns didn't develop him. They delayed him, and that delay, it nearly cost him everything. But now that he's out there, now that the crowd is behind him, now that the team is playing with fire, the Browns can't go back. They've made their bed. And Shedeur, he's not just lying in it. He's taken the whole damn room. So yeah, Colin was right all along. And if the Browns are smart, they'll stop trying to control the narrative and start letting Shaduer Sanders write it. Because the kid is built for this. He's been ready. They just took way too long to notice.